They actually did go up into space and record the spaceship.
Okay, sweet.
It was like a
no
multi-million-dollar project.
Isn't there no sound in no, that's not good. Anyway, we're gonna try to do our little sports half-hour type deal because we've done it a little bit. Every time we've done sports, we've screwed it up though, just with little misinformation. It's too early, you know. So I feel like that's fair. So we brought in an expert, so maybe he'll not be wrong. We'll see what happens. Rixon.
You're stretching it a little bit with the expert, man.
I mean, I feel like, well, never mind. I don't want to say it like that. I was gonna say, I think most people assume guys are just like sports experts, and a lot of them aren't. Like a lot of guys have no idea about sports. So
I'm not the guy to go to about sports. I'll admit that.
So
come to music. It's fine, and I can
Yeah.
tell you the starting lineup for the Gamecocks. I think that's about.
that's good though. That's
really all
better
you
than a
need
lot
to
of
know.
people. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I figure we do a little sports half-hour type deal, and then we have John Rooks playing at 9, so he'll be here about a quarter till to set up, and Chance will run away and sound check him probably,
Yeah.
or something like that. But until then, yeah, we're here with Rixon. When's your show, Rixon?
We actually do our last show of the semester tomorrow from 10 to noon. It's gonna
10
be
to
our,
noon.
our
So you
final
got the
show.
good slot, the
Yeah.
one right after 8 to 10, because that one's a little.
Yeah, that was actually where I was last semester, and so
Yeah.
we're slowly moving up in the world.
Nice. Awesome. So on your show, is it general sports, Gamecock sports?
We try to do a little bit of both. We typically start off with something more local. We've been doing a lot of baseball previews. That's kind of how we've been starting every show, previewing the Carolina series and the Clemson series for that coming weekend. And then it sort of depends on what's going on. You know, obviously, this past week, Bobby Petrino and his little scandal with his 25-year-old intern friend was kind of our big storyline. But it sort of just depends. It varies from week to week. But we typically try to keep start with a Carolina theme, and then we kind of move on from there into more national news.
Okay. Cool. So what would you say your area of expertise is? Like, is there a certain sport? Like me, I can say baseball, which not anymore as much because of college. So I'm busy and I don't get to keep up with the MLB as much. But is there a certain sport, or are you just everything?
I try to do a little bit of everything. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say football, just because that was what I had the most experience with. I played in high school. But football and baseball are probably my big things. Basketball, I can follow it, but if you wanted me to break down something or explain something to you, I'm probably not the guy to do that.
Unless it's Carolina basketball, that's a little easier to break down right now.
It's pretty sad. That's really all the breakdown you need.
It's interesting though. Everyone's leaving, it seems, or a lot of people are transferring out. We can talk about that real quick because it's kind of interesting. Like, whether or not Darren Horn was a good coach, people that's going back and forth. Okay, but it's just he was such a good recruiter though, and all these guys were recruited and wanted Darren Horn to be their coach, even whether again. So like now that he's gone, they're like, oh, I don't know about this new guy and the new staff, and they were really close with the staff as well. So now the new staff came in and they're like, let's go play somewhere else, and so. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the problem with Darren Horn was, as you mentioned, he was a good recruiter. I mean, Lakeem Jackson, for instance, when he came in, he was regarded as probably one of the top prospects in North and South Carolina. And I had people that saw Lakeem Jackson play in high school and say, no, this guy's unbelievable. He's going to be a guy that really helps turn this program around. I think the problem was once they got on campus, they never really developed. I mean, Horn clearly had a way of going out and getting good talent. I mean, Anthony Gill was another one of those guys who now is leaving, but was supposed to be a guy that was going to be a big part of turning this program around. And it's not so evident in him because he's a freshman, only been here 1 year. But you look at some of the bigger name guys they've brought in, like Lakeem Jackson, they've never developed into what people thought they would be. So I think that's been the problem, is that the coaching staff, for whatever reason, has been able to take what these guys did in high school and show them how to translate it to a college level, and the results kind of show that.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to fret on basketball though.
It's baseball season, man.
It's baseball season. That's where I want to be. Oh man, but Gamecocks haven't been really.
No,
It's been weird.
It's been a
They've
weird
been trying
season.
to learn learn each other, I think, is the biggest thing. It's such a young infield, trying to figure out who's going where, who's batting where. The few times, like the times that I've sat at a few games where I've thought, okay, this is it. Like they're last year's scrappy team again, and then the next day they lose to, you know, another like middle of the week team, and it's like, what are you doing, guys? I don't know.
It's been a really weird season, like you said, and I think that what people are starting to realize is that, you know, we always talk about teams like, you know, Alabama in football. People talk about how they don't rebuild, they reload. And Kentucky in basketball. You can't reload in baseball because it requires so much on both an individual level and on a team level. And I think what people are finding out is that, yes, South Carolina, even though they've got 2 national championships and they recruit top caliber high school players and JUCO players, guys like LB Dantzler, Bobby Haney was a JUCO guy, so Adrian Morales was a JUCO guy out of Florida. I think what people are realizing is that there's a difference between what they did in high school and what they did at JUCO level, and comparing that to playing with the SEC. I mean, no matter how good you are, that experience, it's not something you just walk out there. I mean, Joey Pancake was phenomenal in high school. He struggled here, but, you know, he's a freshman. He's supposed to, you know, struggle, especially at shortstop. So I think people are kind of starting to realize that you can't just walk out there and flash your national championship ring and say, here we are, we've got this. I mean, if you can go on the road and lose to Francis Marion and lose to a D2 school, and then they come back the next week and sweep Mississippi State, and I was like you, I went to that Friday game and I saw the comeback. You know, they were down by 3 in the bottom of the 8th, and I saw them come back and thought, okay, you know, I actually said to the guy sitting next to me, I said, this is how it's supposed to feel. You know, this is what it was like the past 2 years. And then they go out, you know, Tuesday night and get beat by College of Charleston. So it's been a really up and down year. I think they'll be fine. Ray Tanner's probably the best coach right now in college baseball. If they can end up somehow getting home games in the postseason, if they can host a regional, then I think they'll be in good shape. But if they have to go on the road, where historically they're not very good on the road under Ray Tanner, and through no fault of his own, it was hard to win games away from home in baseball. But I think if they end up on the road, they'll be okay. If not, they could really struggle.
Definitely. Now, the thing that I've noticed just the whole year is the guys are fast. So at the bottom line, like, if they can get, and then they make small mistakes. If they didn't make the small mistakes, and they could play a little small ball and get the guy to second so that they can hit him in. It's hitting the guy in that they're having the problems with. And almost every loss for the first month, I feel like almost all of them are 4-3 or 3-2, like 1-run deficit. And last year, like we were talking about, that's was the time when, you know, they'd come in, Adrian Morales would hit one in, or Scott Wingo would chip something in the right field and score a random run and force a throw that would go wide or something. So I don't know, I feel like the team just, and they played, you know, the year before together, and then some of them the year before that, and having Jackie and just the presence of other guys on the team that aren't there now. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting, definitely, to see how they pick up, because the big thing is the starting thing. Matt Price went back to the bullpen, which I think he's, even in his starts, after the 4th inning, he was still throwing 90, 92, like, he's still hitting low 90s now this year and hasn't been under, when I've looked at the radar gun, but he just, after the 4th inning, there's something about him. It's just this atmosphere, like, well, haven't we won the game yet? We still have another 6 innings to go, but Matt Price only started instead of closed. So I think it's good that he's back in the bullpen.
Definitely, and Matt Price is a really unique guy in that he's got a closer's mindset and he's got the stamina of a starting pitcher, which is a really effective weapon to have. The only problem is Matt Price is a guy that I've always felt like needs to have something to protect. He needs to have something to take care of. And I think that when Matt Price was going out and starting games and starting, you know, games tied up at 0, instead of coming in saying, okay, it's 2-1 in the bottom of the 9th, I got to shut this thing down, or it's 3-2, I got to keep it at 3 to give us a chance. I don't think he quite has the mental makeup, and that's not a bad thing, because he needs that mindset to be one of the best closers in college baseball. But you can't just throw him out on the starting mound and say, well, just because this guy has been lights out for us in the bullpen, we can put him on the starting mound and expect the same results, because it's a totally different mindset. Matt Price mentally is a sprinter. He's not a marathon runner. and he wants to be able to get in, get out, and get it done with. And as we saw in Omaha last year in the games against Virginia, if you need him to go 6 innings, if that's what it takes to win the game, he can do that without a problem. But he needs to have something to take care of. And I think as a starter, he didn't have that, and so they had to move him back to the bullpen. And plus, if you have him there, now you're in a situation where because of his arm strength and because of the stamina he's got, Matt Price can throw an inning in all 3 weekend games and potentially affect every one of them. If you put him out there as a starter on Saturday, he's got no effect on Friday. He's got no effect on Sunday. So I think that from that standpoint, having him in the bullpen is way more effective for Carolina because you have the ability to have a pitcher of his caliber affect at least 3 games in a series.
Definitely. What do you think about a number 2 starter? I know we're starting the freshman now.
Jordan Montgomery.
There it is, Jordan. Yeah, Montgomery.
I know he's just a freshman, and it's only 2 starts against Tennessee and Mississippi State, who, they're SEC caliber baseball teams, but they're not the cream of the crop in the league. Jordan Montgomery's looked really good. He has looked fantastic. The game against Tennessee, his first ever SEC start when he came in and went 8 innings, gave up 1 earned run and helped lead Carolina to that victory. He's looked really good. I think the coaches are wanting to see a little more out of him in terms of his location and his off-speed pitches, but as far as keeping Carolina in the game, he's been able to do that. And that's really all the Gamecocks have been looking for in terms of a Saturday starter was somebody keep us in this thing until the late innings because they hadn't been getting it. Kumis, for whatever reason, had been struggling. Price wasn't quite giving them what they thought they'd get out of him. But Jordan Montgomery, for right now, looks like the starter for the foreseeable future on those Saturday games.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Chance? Well, now you're running away. You and I covered the regional last year together. That was fun and interesting. But is there anything you've seen or witnessed that you want to talk about?
I've only been to 1 game so far this year. I went to the first Tennessee game where we lost, which is very sad. It was a great game, really close the whole way, but I don't know. It'll be exciting to see how it turns out this season. I think we have it in us. It's just a mix of young guys and older guys that need to just got to figure out the whole pattern and get it rolling. I think we have a pretty good team on our hands, though, from what I've seen.
What do you think, AWOWW? Coming from Clemson last year, and now being here as a Gamecock and what do you think of the atmosphere? I know you've been to a couple of games.
I've actually only been to 1 game this season, and it was at Clemson, against Clemson, and we lost.
I thought you went to 1 here.
No, I wish.
AWOWW.
I wish I had time to go, because I love baseball so much. I don't know. I always have high hopes in every sports team, so
That's good.
I feel like we're all learning, they're all learning, and I only expect better to come, so that's my input.
Awesome. Let's see. It's 8:45. Let's take a quick short, do you have a short song, Chance? We can take a 2-minute song if you have one. And then we'll come back and talk about what you said you had highlights, Rixon, of kind of the year, and then we can look forward to the spring game.
Sounds
or
good.
from the spring game to next season. How exciting. Football is just around the corner. For the South, that's great. For me, I'm like, no, baseball lasts till November. So, well, as a Yankees fan, some years it lasts till the end of October. Some years it ends in September. So. All right, so do you have a quick song, and then we'll come back real quick?
Yes, this is a song by Vacationer called Everyone Knows.
Awesome. Keep listening to the Pauly C and AWOWW show on WUSC.
We aren't streaming.